Rain it did. It lashed at the attic window. The wind howled, sort of like a banshee in mourning real bad. Emily, a 10-year-old kiddo, she shivered, yanking her worn blanket even tighter, even though with the stifling heat it was warmer than hot coffee. Her grandma, on that creaky chair of hers, rocking here and there, let out a chuckle. It was that dry rasp again, one that brought goosebumps on Emily's arms like, in a creepy way. "Storm's getting you all freaked out, ain't it, kiddo?" Grandma's eyes, too milky and clouded with cataracts, seemed bright in the wavering candlelight. Had that never happened before? Emily, who swallowed. A lump in her throat is forming. "No, Grandma," her words mumbled, but her gaze darted ever so nervously around inside the crowded attic. Cobwebbed furniture lived there, along with dusty trunks. They filled up with too many forgotten stories. "Now, Grandma." That smile on her just went wider. It showed off a row of gnarly yellow teeth. "Good. We can't have you be scared, not tonight. Tonight we tell stories." Emily felt something then, a thrill, electricity in the air. Grandma's stories, usually whispered when the twilight goes hush, had become things of family legends. But, you see, tonight wasn't usual. Weird energy hung in the air. Shadows seemed to squirm and tap dance in the flickering candlelight. Grandma leaned closer, her breath smelling like a library full of old books. "This one," words came out as a rasp, "is about a little girl just like you." Emily's heart did the drum thing in her chest. Grandma's tales, though wild they were, held a teeny hint of truth, a scary echo that lingered long after the end, like the last fading note of a spooky lullaby. So Grandma weaved a yarn about Lily, a young kid living in a similar grand house. Just like Emily, Lily loved to imagine things larger than life. An attic room, whispers coming from its locked doors. One night, curiosity drove Lily to use a hairpin. The door creaked open. As Emily listened, the wind outside mimicked the creaking sound in the story. A draft colder than cold slithered through the room. The candle went out, pitch black. A panic brewed in Emily's guts. The scary feeling of invisible presence stroked her arm. Emily's and only Emily's terrified scream echoed through the storm's wrath. Morning reached through the attic window, painting the room with an orange hue. Grandma was still in her chair, blanket empty beside her. Emily's arm carried just a faint trace, a cold, icy touch below her nightgown sleeve, a chilling reminder of a first-hand spooky experience. The truth about those monsters we make up in our head, they're scary, really scary. You can feel them. We all have attics in our souls, and things live there, things scarier than we dare to admit, even to ourselves, even in a storm, especially in a storm. Another reminder, not every locked door should be unlocked. The swing set, old it be now, creaked in the fading sunlight. Its rusty chain sings like the wails of tormented souls. 10-year-old Liam, he did, pushed himself higher. That wind, yes, it whistled past his ears as he swung higher, until he felt he could nearly touch the sky turning dark. He thoroughly enjoyed this feelings, the world seeming quite small beneath him, and his worries seemed to be fading away with each arc. Suddenly comes a voice, sounding rough and not known beforehand, cut through the wind. "You shouldn't be being here after dark, little one, right?" Liam's heart hammered in his chest shockingly. He turned around, but the playground was empty. Or was it? There's an old woman there, cloaked in tattered robes colored like twilight, standing right under the opposite swing set with her face hidden in the shadows. Despite Liam's feelings of unease that were growing, he puffed out his chest courageously and asked, "This is my playground. Who are you, hey?" The old woman chuckled. Probably her laughter sounds like dead leaves moving across the pavement. "This set of swings I'd played here too, a long time ago." She pointed at the swing set a bit mournfully and smiled. "They took me away from here." Liam had a cold sensation crawl up his spine. "Took you where?" His voice was oddly soft. "Taken away from all the laughter." The woman muttered, her eyes, basically dark and unsettling, carefully watching him. "Just away from all the cheerful fun." Winds blew cold, kind, harsh, whipping the woman's cloak around her, and it revealed a glimpse of something pale, bony fingers clutching at the fabric. Terrifyingly, Liam stumbled back, his throat gripped by fear. "However you though, young you," The woman croaked, took a step closer. "You still got time, hey. You can join me. We can swing forever and remain young, happy always." The swing set's rusty chains began to groan louder. They twisted and moved like they had a mind of their own, reaching out towards Liam like skeletal fingers. Fear gripped Liam. He scrambled off the swing, his heart pounding rapidly against his ribs. He didn't dare to look back as he ran out of the playground, her words still echoing in his ears. "Come play with me always, forever young, forever happy." Liam never revisited the playground. The image of that skeletal hand and the chilling voice haunted his nights for many years. He knew inwardly that the woman wasn't giving him a childhood escape, but an ice-cold imprisonment, a never-ending swing ride into the abyss of forgotten memories and eternal darkness. 10-year-old Maya, she stared at sterile window in hospital room, watching tears. Rain roll down the glass. Her leg encased in plaster throbbed, a dull ache constant. It was the bad memory of a bike accident that stole her summer freedom, poor girl. She was boring, and silence was only broken by rhythmic beeping sound of heart monitor. Suddenly a soft rhythmic tap sound caught her ears. Coming from somewhere outside her room, curiosity flies inside her, forgets the pains in her leg for a while. She strained her neck, scanning the empty hallway beyond her slightly open door. What's that? The tapping sound was louder, like someone is very impatient. Also, a low moan was there. It was not the hospital's normal sound. It sent chills around Maya's spine. She tried to ignore the creep feeling and start hobbling towards the door. Her hand tightens around, IV pole for support. After reaching to it, she checks through the crack. The hallway was too barren and bathed in the pale white glow of overhead lights. Yet still, this tapping sound and whining persisted, like there's a ghost or something. Maya felt like a spider was creeping onto her arms. Suddenly, a flickering shadow at the hallway end catches her eye. It's dark, like it has swallowed all the nearby lights, wavers as if blown by a non-existent breeze. Curiosity, or you could call it fear, propels Maya forward. So she started walking down the hallway. The tapping was again loud, invited her to a room at the far end. The door was a little ajar. One piece of darkness beckons. A little shaky, Maya pushed the door open. The echo of the heart monitor's rhythmic beep filled the sudden silence. A dusty rocking horse was the only object in this stark room, with once bright color all faded now. Here comes the spooky part. The rocking horse started to slowly sway back and forth with a creaking sound. The tapping was coming out of it. Maya felt so ill. This isn't a fairy tale. This ain't imagination. This was real terrors. She was having panics and stumbles back. All she thought of was to run away from the room. The rocking horse's creaking was picking up its tempo. Then a voice, raspy and despair-filled voice, filled the room. "Help me," it echoed. "Get me out." Maya'd freeze. All her attention was at the rocking horse. In that moment, it shifts from fear to empathy. The rocking horse was a trapped cage. Overloaded with determination, Maya dashes back to her room, completely forgetting about her injured leg. She took a marker, wrote on a whiteboard. "Don't be afraid," was written. The trembling hand was very obvious. "We'll help you." She then places the board by the window and opens the window. The rain washed away some of the writings. A strong wind blew into the room, carrying the message out into the night sky. Sunrise came the other morning. That annoying tapping sound and whining were gone. The rocking horse stood still in the now silent room. Maya was in peace, but no clues to explain. Later in that day, a surprised-looked nurse entered. "Maya," nurse said gently, "there's been a development. A new family has claimed that rocking horse. Apparently it was theirs, belonged to their son, who tragically..." End of the line, but Maya can deduct that the lost soul was finally free and got its peaceful silence. And Maya knew she played a part in releasing it, a tiny act that eliminated the horror and brought a tiny solace into the white, sterile walls of her temporary cell.